Hello, everyone. This is Omar.
Hey, what's up? This is Dustin coming at you from the Westin in Buckhead, Atlanta.
Yeah, so typically we record these over Zoom or something, but we both happen to be in Atlanta. We're looking at a couple of our properties. So we decided, we're in the lobby, we're waiting for a few friends, and we can quickly record this update on our upcoming development, Jefferson Reserve, give you an idea what's going on so you're well equipped to see how great of a project it is, why we're so excited, and more importantly, why our upcoming pipeline of projects is very attractive. So I've got a couple of notes here on my phone. I'm just going to start looking at it. Anyways, look, the development name is Jefferson Reserve, and we're building on the Reserve Flats, which was the first development we did on this type of model last year. We were just closing out on Briarwood Reserve, exact same model. We're going to get into it in Jefferson Reserve, exact strategy. And that's allowing us to basically quickly develop these projects at very attractive financial terms, operating, financing, and construction, all of that sort of stuff, and then just basically able to get very high returns relative to a lot of the other developments and acquisitions we're seeing. And frankly, the reason why this model is so attractive, this model is so attractive right now that we're looking at these acquisitions in Atlanta, and we love Atlanta, but we're passing on a lot of stuff just because of how exciting these sets of developments are. So let's get into it. Got a couple of notes. I'll be looking down and I'll be teeing Dustin up. Dustin, do you want to talk about the location and kind of how attractive this location is and some of the other amenities around this location?
Yeah, this zip code is 57106, and it's on the northwest part of Sioux Falls. This is really close to the Amazon, the new Amazon location, and that is pushing tons and tons of growth that way. So the infrastructure out there is all brand new. The city actually wants growth to go that way as well, and so the sewer and all the infrastructure there is very nice, and there's some space to build out there. There's nice land there. There's also we're right next to the brand new Jefferson High School, and that's a very desirable high school. A lot of the kids, the athletes, are all banding up and going to that new school. So it's a very desirable location in that part. It's right by Southeast Technical Institute on Career Road. It's actually walkable to there. There is the technical high school also right there. And yeah, like I said, it's only like maybe a mile away from the new Amazon factory. It's also right next to the brand new Walmart. And you have really good access to both interstates, I-29 and I-90. And it's also right across the street from the Starbucks. Literally, you take one crosswalk and you're at a Starbucks. So with our young professional demographic, we know that that's going to be a really good commodity or amenity to have right across the street.
Great. So guys, as you heard, great frontage, great access to amenities, and more importantly, affluent demographics that are around it, as well as the city's master plan of infrastructure moving in this direction, which has already happened. That's why we were very excited when we were able to secure this parcel of land. We've talked about all of this stuff basically on Briarwood Reserve as well, Reserve Flats as well. What is this no-frills approach? And look, I look at it from a financial angle, an operations angle. Dustin looks at it from a development angle. We've got another partner, Caleb, who's not here with us. He's the actual builder. So we've each got unique perspectives on across the life cycle of this project. But Dustin, why don't you start about the development side of the business, right? How did you think of this project, development size, why this no-frills approach? I can talk about the financial angle of things just to kind of wrap it up from both sides.
Well, the main reason why we started getting into this is the underwriting on our A-plus class mixed-use style apartments no longer works in the high interest rate environment, along with the rising construction prices. So we used this model and we realized it was much more profitable and more efficient. And what it comes down to is that you just cut all the amenities out and you provide an A-class interior with a very good location and a little bit smaller building. So you've got two sides on each unit, and it allows for a lot more natural light to flow into the building. And we use very large windows, which makes these smaller units actually feel the same size as a larger unit that was constructed, in the past 10 years. So the units are getting a little smaller, but that density, that efficiency actually leads to better increases on the bottom line. It's also through the cycle of the project, like we don't have as much maintenance, we don't have a dog park to take care of or a pool to deal with. So it's just, we're stripping out all the amenities and going to an A-class interior that everyone can enjoy. And it's very modern, brand new, trendy. So the young professionals are really attracted to this. And if they come in and tour our place and they love it, there's very little chance that they're going to find another unit that compares. So we just set ourselves apart in that way, and then we strip out the amenities, and we're finding that people are okay without the amenities, and it's kind of like a modern workforce type housing is how I like to call it.
Yeah. So see, that's kind of a good branding actually, because for us, look, from a financial angle, think about it this way. The class A++++ type product we're doing on Blue on Lorraine, all-in costs are anywhere between $200,000 $230,000 per unit for a similar quality product. We go at Jefferson Reserve, same with Briarwood Reserve. Our all-in costs. This is construction, soft cost fees, financing costs, everything. They're between around $170,000, maybe $180,000 at the high end. So what does that do? What this means is that you've already shaved off anywhere from like $25,000 to like $50,000 per unit minimum, all in cost, right? Your rents are maybe 7 to 10% below what say a class A++ type unit would be. So what you're seeing is your costs of development are down like say 20-25%. Your rents are only down 7 to 12, maybe 13%. So net you're actually yielding more money. So as a result, what happens is your properties are a lot more efficient as Dustin managed, both in the construction, then in basically the operations, which then has a direct result on the bottom line. But the phased approach that we've taken, this is something that we feel is unique in the sense that it's not a unique model, but not a lot of people do it because it requires a certain amount of patience and it requires a certain skill set within the team to both develop and operate. So the phased approach basically is, look, it's not like we build, say, all of this property and then we start leasing, right? We don't necessarily do that. What we do basically is we build, we lease, we build, we lease. So what does that do? That helps us to, first of all, better manage our cash flow. But in this high interest rate environment, what it also helps us manage to do is basically, look, if in the off chance that, leasing activity isn't as strong, because we're always looking at the downside scenario. So then we kind of control the pace at which we're developing the next set of units, which then allows us, because if we're not drawing as much money from the bank, we're not paying that much interest. So that kind of allows us to control our construction and all of this stuff. Conversely, if leasing activity is going bonkers, like we saw at Reserve Flats, we saw at Blue on Lorraine, if it's off the charts, then we have the ability basically to quickly ramp up, for the lack of a better word, development to ensure that we're able to keep up with this demand. But both things being considered, the whole point of this game over here in the current environment, and I believe going forward, is going to be more nimbleness and the ability to maneuver as market conditions dictate. And one last real big advantage of this is that when you break a project down into phases, so instead of it being say a $20-25 million loan, it's two $10 million loans or two $12 million loans. The big advantage of that is you have a lot of banks basically, right, that want to give you money, and we're always in the business of having a beauty show done with our vendors, with our financing intermediaries. So the more banks that give you terms, the more we are then able to negotiate better terms, because when there's only one game in town, it's hard to negotiate. So it's a combination of operational stuff, combination of financial stuff, and then a combination of ensuring that you take all of these variables, you take all of these efficiencies, take them across your life cycle to ensure that net the product that is being delivered to investors, that's the highest quality product. So look, Dustin, we've talked on that. Can you talk about some of the intro to our partners?
My name's Dustin Hendrickson, and I'm with Mailbox
We
Money.
should have started with that.
We could have. I thought, I thought everyone knows us by now, but maybe they don't. And I've been creating efficient, modern housing since about 2003, and through that process, I've learned quite a bit as far as what people desire, like what makes units desirable, and just through a lot of listening to our tenants and listening to our property managers. And I used to be a property manager. I've worn all the hats, asset management. So I've learned through this process of what people want. And when we put a desirable product out there, we have massive, massive waiting lists, immediately fill up all the units. We just have a lot of demand, is what I should say. And I would like to give a little update. Blue on Lorraine right now has a waiting list of 118 people.
Out of how many units?
We have 128 units.
Yeah.
So to have a waiting list of 118 people, that blew my mind.
I mean, that's 4 months out from delivery, right? Or 3 months out from delivery.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months out from delivery, and we have this insane waiting list. I've never had a waiting list that big on a project, but it just speaks to the desirability of the asset, and we try to create that desirability on every scale. And all of the pivoting thing too. I like change. I like to pivot, so pivots don't bother me. And these projects now with this phase approach allows us to pivot in the middle of the project,
Instantly, basically.
instant pivots. So we created this because we needed to pivot because construction costs were skyrocketing. And then when the interest rates start skyrocketing, this gives us another pivot point where we can slow down or we can increase production. And then phase two, if phase one doesn't go very good, we can prolong phase two. If phase one goes fantastic, we can move phase two up. So we just have a lot of variables, and we have a lot of room to make decisions on the fly. And this just fits very well into our wheelhouse. So that's who I am.
Well, I'd like to talk about myself, but I'd like to give a shout out to our third partner, Caleb. Big shout out to Caleb. Caleb is the actual developer, the construction person. He's really pivotal in this entire process, and we can't speak highly enough about our partner, Caleb there. So look, I'm Omar Khan. I'm the founder of Boardwalk Wealth. My background, as you all know, is in finance, is in structuring deals, running them, asset management operations. So what I feel like, I have great partners like Dustin, that can look at things from, say, certain angles and perspectives that I don't come naturally to me. I mean, I can look at it, but they're not a natural fit for me. And what I compliment this whole partnership is that we bring the financial sophistication, the financial know-how, and the ability to find ways on how to extract every last penny out of these assets. I'm a CFA charter holder. I've done over $4 billion of capital financing and M&A transactions, $300+ million of developments and acquisitions all across the Southeast and South Dakota. So it's not just me. I've got a great team behind me. And it's the fact that we have this combination of financial sophistication, operational know-how that really, I feel, helps us. But as Dustin mentioned, the thing that really attracts me about this business model for our developments, particularly, is the amount of levers we can pull. Because I'm all about, having a second, third, fourth, fifth option a lot of times. Sometimes, to my detriment. That kills a lot of deals that I don't do. But I always like to ensure that we have lots of outs, because not just in this environment, but lots of other environments, what you really need to always figure out is what happens when things don't go to plan. What do you do there? Or if things do go to plan, how do you double down on your strengths? And these types of plans, these are very attractive for somebody like me, because I can now see, okay, I don't have 2 levers. I have like 10 levers. And I have 10 levers both in a downturn as well as in an upturn. So I have to look at it from all angles. So that's why, that's us in a nutshell. We have a very well-rounded team. We also are very lucky to have experienced team members behind us, all the support staff we have, that really helps us bring all of these deals to fruition. And
I want to add one thing to the partners that we have. We couldn't really be more we couldn't think more different, honestly. Sometimes we think so different, me and Omar, that I get frustrated trying to explain things to him because I don't understand why he doesn't understand. And this makes us an incredible team. When every single person covers up your weaknesses. Also with Caleb, right? Me and Caleb think a little more similar because I'm from a construction background, but we're still completely opposites. Caleb is very tight. I'd say he's Dutch, so you know how the Dutch are. You know how cheap the Dutch are. But so, and then I'm the guy that puts too much into the unit. So these guys don't allow me to ever put too much into the unit, and I don't ever allow them to put too little into the unit. So it's like a perfect mix. And then Omar is so conservative on things. It does frustrate me because he kills some of my deals. But then when you come into a period like this, every one of our deals is in the black. Every one of Caleb's deals is in the black on operations. We are not losing money month to month on any deal. And I know there's a lot of syndicators that are bleeding every single month, and they're just surviving on their reserves. And so I'm happy to say that I'm partnering with someone so conservative that our deals are all in the black.
Well, there you go. Thank you. So look, returns projections wise, for LP IRR is going to be somewhere around the 17 to 18% range. We typically have a 4 to 5 year holding period. So look at your equity multiple, something like a 1.8 to 2x equity multiple in that range, because it depends on the share class, basically, that our investors invest in. All right, around debt. Debt, we've always been conservatively levered. So in this case, it's anywhere from 65 to 75% debt. One of the fascinating things that I actually love about Sioux Falls, and I keep telling these guys, I still don't think these guys really get it, is that not just the rate, but the overall terms we're able to secure through our deep relationships with Sioux Falls banks. Look, we don't even get them in Dallas, which is a way bigger market, or I don't even get it with Fannie and Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac. So the terms we get and the flexibility we have in our loans, I mean, I have never seen this in any other market, and that's actually been very fascinating because, when we were closing the Weltheis last year in November 2022, I mean, these guys were arguing over, I think our rate was 4.95%, right? And I know Caleb was arguing with the banker on some minor point when the HUD rate, which is Housing and Urban Development, which is the cheapest government debt, I think, that was like 5.4, 5.5%. And these guys were arguing. I was like, guys, just sign the damn papers. Just sign them. We can always argue about this later. And again, we got debt that is something like 55, 60 basis points below market, below government subsidized debt. So that's what happens when you've got great partners, they've got great relationships, and you're able to pick up pockets of opportunity. So that kind of gives you an idea on basically the returns projections, what type of debt it is. We've talked about our other developments, Blue on Lorraine, Reserve Flats, Weltheis, Briarwood Reserve. Dustin's got a whole host of experience there. So you can see this in our investment summary, all of our development experience. So Dustin, a couple of last things. Apart from Briarwood Reserve and Reserve Flats that we talked about, right? I know that Caleb has actually done the same type of phased, no frills approach with Washington Crossing, the senior living facility. But you've done a couple of projects, so why don't you talk to us about those?
So all of my no frills projects have been in fantastic locations. But we do things like we don't have an elevator, right? We have 3 stories with no elevator. It's mixed use, and we found that that's more profitable than putting the elevator in it. So I've got the lofts at Maine, which is a 24 unit. Yeah, that's the white. That's one of the first modern buildings that we built in Brookings. But that is actually an A-class building with no frills approach. There's really no amenities there. It's just a super nice building with super nice finishes. And we were able to build that, at market rate or under, and then get a way above market rate rents on that property. Same with the Ben Franklin Flats. So that's a downtown infill project. We added 20 units above about 6,000 square feet of commercial space. Same thing there. Super desirable units, not much maintenance, no frills. There's not even enough parking for the tenants. The parking, so 7 of the 20 units have to park off-site, and it still stays full because it's in such a great location. So that's how much we have been able to cut down on the amenities and on the frills, and it seems to add to just right straight to the bottom line. Also got the Watson Clinic. That was the first mixed-use development that I did. I didn't actually develop from the ground up, but it was a historic remodel. Had to get all kinds of permitting from the city, and then we added 5 studio units. That's the first project I did where people came in and said, "You're crazy. You're crazy. Why do you think these are going to rent for that kind of money?" And I was like, "I just think they will. I think they're really desirable." And we pre-leased the entire building. Had way more demand than we could have thought, and then increased the revenue on the office side below as well. And that building too has such a few amenities that most people don't have a parking spot. It's right downtown, and there's literally no amenities in that building, and it stays full all the time, and it just reduced the overall operational costs. So those are just some of the past experiences that I've had with the no frills approach, and that dates back to about 2011 is when we first started doing this method.
Awesome. So look, all in all, the thing here is that each project that we do, it's already built on the successes of the other projects we've done. But more importantly, with this phased approach, we have a pipeline of projects coming up that are the exact same project, right? Phased approach, no frills. In fact, we are using the similar floor layouts as well between Briarwood Reserve and Jefferson Reserve. A lot of our returning investors will see that even the floor layouts are very similar. And the reason for that is efficiency. The more of these our subs do, the more and more efficient they become, the more costs we're able to shave off. So I'm just going to round it off. What are the benefits of investing early? I always get this question. The biggest benefit is you get 5% bonus shares. We did this on Briarwood Reserves as well. So basically how it happens is phase one investors, this is only going to be offered to phase one investors. They get 5% bonus shares when phase two starts. So think about it this way. If you invested 100 grand, you get when phase two starts, your returns are accumulating as if you had 105 grand. So that's very powerful, right? Because money starts compounding very quickly. Last thing, process to invest in deal offering. Basically, the process to invest is very similar. You reach out to us. If you have any questions, our team will be happy to answer any questions in as much detail as you need. And then from there on in, it's very simple. Eric from our side will send you the legal documents. You read them. They're all, honestly, if you read one, you read all of them, right? You sign them, you wire the money, we'll give you wire instructions, and from there on in, it's a very simple process. You get monthly updates, annual K1s, anytime a material event happens, you get the financials, all of that stuff that we do on all of our projects. So Dustin, any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, I forgot to talk about the actual comps that are in the area right near the property. So across the street and to the south, there is an apartment complex that it's a market rate, but it's a standard workforce housing, I'd say. So it's a less desirable product, and they're getting very close to the rents that we're underwriting. They're a little bit under our rents, but our product is much more desirable. So that's like a standard 40-unit building with low finishes. Ours is more windows, way higher end finishes. And so we're set apart a little bit. This is not a massive complex. It's a kind of a boutique complex. Then to the to the west, there are a much higher grade rentals than what we have, and those are all townhomes with attached garage, and they're getting up to $2,000 a month for those things. Then you go farther north, and Lloyd is also building another a bigger apartment. I think it's called the Boundary, and that is also a large complex. It looks really nice on the outside, but it's still same thing. The units just don't quite have the impact of our units. So we've got these boutique apartment units, and so we're right in the middle of the townhomes and the other apartments. So we offer something that is not in the market yet, but it's in between everything in the market.
There you go, guys. It's that thing we talked about, right? It's all about nimbleness. It's about offering a product to the discerning renter and resident, because if you just have a cookie cutter project, then you're going to get cookie cutter returns. And in our particular case, we like to have levers, as I mentioned earlier. And all of these levers, you're seeing just the way Dustin's talked about, various comps in the market, the way I've talked about financial stuff, is that when you look at projects from multiple angles, that's where you're really able to figure out, okay, is it efficient? Is it not efficient? How much money can I get out of this? What type of yields will I get? And that's what really matters at the end of the day. Because if you have a partnership that's just, say, all marketing, or all finance, no matter what type of buzzwords they use, data-driven, AI, this, that, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, this is a people's business. So if you have to put yourself in the shoes of your customers, right, and see, okay, well, what do they envision? What would they like? And no amount of data-driven research, this, that, is ever going to overcome the fact that if you don't have professionals on the ground that are delivering the project on budget, on time, no amount of research and fancy marketing work is ever going to do. I mean, I personally know of a lot of developers right now that are 2 or 3 years into their projects, and they haven't even broken ground. And in fact, we are delivering our first, the project Blue on Lorraine, in about 1.5 years. We're delivering Briarwood Reserve in about 12 months max. We're delivering Welt House in about 12 to 13 months. So with us, what you get is actual delivery, right? And we've proven that time and time again, and that's what makes our team really stand out. So thank you very much. Please let us know if you have any questions. Would love to partner with you.